This is a Heart and Hand production.
Very good.
James, we're here in the new museum.
We are.
It's a very impressive space. What are your thoughts as you open us ahead of the new season?
Just incredibly proud. I think to come here and see the museum come to life. It's displaying 150 years of history of this great club, and it's incredibly proud moment for us to bring supporters in here, to bring media in here this afternoon, and it's completing Edmiston House as well, which for us was another flagship and milestone project. So yeah, we're feeling really positive about it, David.
You're now officially the CEO of the club. How does that feel, and how's the transition been into that role?
Yeah, I mean the transition's been intense, but you wouldn't want it any other way. You wouldn't want it any other way at Rangers, and we've been so focused on trying to move things forward. You'll have seen the pace in which we've moved in terms of the player recruitment. We feel really, really positive with where we're at now, with the number of players that have joined Michael's squad and the manner in which the board, myself and Michael have executed that plan. And in time for the season obviously starting on Saturday. We've made some, I believe, really exciting appointments as well outside of football in some of those leadership positions. Grim joins us as the Chief Commercial Officer. We're imminently going to announce the new Chief Finance Officer and some of the other members of that executive team to take us forward and implement the 2025 strategy that we've spoken about. And the museum obviously epitomises this, but there's so much work going into the infrastructure projects here. We've now completed Edmiston House, Blue Sky Lounge, the sports bar is not too far away, and then next summer the significant work start on the stadium in terms of the disabled facilities, which is such an important project, and also some of the stadium expansion when we install the cantilevers. So yeah, we've been busy, but we've got to make sure that every aspect of the club is as prepared as we possibly can be for this season, and that it's a successful one for Rangers.
On that, James, on recruitment, are you still going to go ahead with a director of football appointment or similar technical director type thing? Is that the model that the club's going to go with, or is it going to be more like what we've seen this summer?
I think we're keeping our options open at the moment, David. We did meet some candidates that had some really great experience actually in terms of that director of football or sporting director role. We at the moment have stayed very, very focused on the summer transfer window and delivering on that plan. And I think once the transfer window closes, we'll have a board meeting and we'll discuss what's right for the club moving forward. But I think the collaboration between the chairman, John Bennett, our boards, myself and the manager and his recruitment team, John Part, that's been so strong. And we believe that the outcome and the results from the transfer window are so positive that we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that before we take a definitive decision. We're keeping an open mind, I would say, at the moment.
Hot topic is always amongst the support, the singing section, and obviously safe standing.
Yeah.
You've already made the commitment to at least look at that, and that we've announced again today that there'll be more safe standing and more singing section at the Morton home game. How do you think that's went so far? And not asking for an update because it's relatively quickly after you've made that initial announcement, but you're still committed to looking at that. And I suppose the thing for the fans is there's such a desperation for that to happen amongst some quarters that they'll constantly ask that question, so we have to ask.
No, it's a fair question to ask. We're continuing the trial, and our current feeling is that the trial has been successful. But we want to make sure that we take really careful feedback from all of the stakeholders. But I know from talking to the first team players, the manager, a cross-section of supporters, that the enhancement to the atmosphere that, let's be honest, is already really, really unique and special at Ibrox, with the singing section being in the different locations, particularly behind the goal. We've seen some of the benefits. So we want to continue to learn from that, we want to continue to trial it, but we want to be really cognizant what that means for supporters that are displaced from their seats. They might not be part of their season ticket, but of course they are used to having that first option to reserve that seat. So we need to make sure that we get that balance right, and we need to be front-footed in terms of the consultation, in terms of the dialogue. I know that Greg Marshall and some of our colleagues, we will host a session at Edmiston House where we will open up the floor and we'll continue to take on more feedback, so that when we get into a position where we need to decide what we're going to do for next season, that we've got as much information as we can. But I've really enjoyed seeing the spectacle and the friendlies, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it in the Cup game as well.
Just the last one, James, just very quickly. Obviously just spoke with John McFarlane about renovations at the club and the stadium. It's obviously a hot topic for the fans as well. Things like toilets, even as we spoke about, the top of the main stand, etc. Small things, but it really seems like that has become a big factor for the board, and the board have backed the people at the club to go and do these and execute these. Can you give us a kind of viewpoint of the board and how important that is? Because obviously you've seen the reaction from the fans.
Yeah.
How do you feel as a board in making these and implementing these upgrades?
It is absolutely a priority for the board that we make sure that facilities for the supporters are of an appropriate level, and in parallel that we enhance the matchday experience. And I've said on a number of times, standing here in the museum, it's so special. This is one of the best football club museums anywhere in Europe, and so is Edmiston House. How special to have this multi-purpose venue and Blue Sky Lounge, and these are unbelievable projects. But if we can't get the basics right, then what does that actually count for? So that's why we've started a phased period of works across the toilets, the concourses. We've added new technology to the concourses with the self-order units. We're enhancing things like the number of cleaners, the number of stewards, the number of fan liaison volunteers. We're upgrading the ticketing platform during the next few months ahead of next season. So all of that infrastructure is getting an investment because we believe that's the right thing for Rangers in terms of the experience that supporters have with the football club at every single touch point.